Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. The Health Ministry will soon roll out a community ophthalmology program in remote areas to improve access to eye care services. During the COVID-19 update on Monday, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony said this is one of several interventions to improve healthcare services in Ghana this year.
We have been working with a group out of Johns Hopkins University. They have piloted snap-on spectacles or snap-on lens, and this is a very simple technology to use, but it can have a great impact. So what it really does is you go into a community, you're able to test everyone's eye very quickly, and based on the results of those tests, you can give them a spectacle. And that's done in less than 10 minutes.
The pilot project will start with some 3,500 spectacles to be assessed. With over 87% forest cover, Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat says that Ghana boasts one of the best forest management systems in the world. The minister was at the time delivering remarks at the launching of a week's activities in commemoration of International Day of Forests 2022.
We are an oil-producing nation. We have a vibrant logging sector, a vibrant mining sector, and yet we are carbon neutral. So that is our difficult task at the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Guyana Forestry Commission, GGMC. It's always so difficult, the Petroleum Department. It's always so difficult to balance the extraction of natural resources with the preservation or protection of the environment. That is one of the most difficult tasks I believe there is. But I want to say that with our system in Guyana, we have been doing a good job. And we will continue to do our part in saving the world. We will continue to keep our forests standing so that the world can breathe.
Guyana's forests can sequester 19.5 gigatons of carbon. The entire world carbon emission for power generation is about 13 gigatons carbon dioxide. This means that Guyana's forests can offset the carbon emission for the world's power generation.
We intend to ensure that we keep our forests standing, we carry out our activities in a sustainable manner, we cut our emission even further in the coming years through renewable projects, which we've already embarked on, and many more that will come on stream as we move forward.
March 2021 is International Day of Forests. As the world digitalizes, the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Education, is working to build artificial intelligence among youths with the newly launched Spark initiative. The program, which was launched at the National Centre of Education Resources on Monday, is the first of its kind in the Caribbean. It targets students from 12 schools offering the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, teachers from CPC, and students of the Ghana Technical Institute. Minister of Education Dr. Prem Manikchand said the government is ensuring all children are rounded academically.
That story brings us to how very prioritized moving forward with technology is on the government's agenda, and how very interested we are in engaging diaspora with bringing back talent. But what do we want for you, for the young people of this country today? We want to make sure you're academically sound, that there's no question about where we are with that. And you could tell with the heavy academic push and the investments in bringing about your academic success.
With plans to reopen schools across Ghana after the Easter holiday, Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony is again underscoring the importance of adolescent vaccination. The minister, during Tuesday's COVID-19 update, reiterated his call for parents and guardians to ensure eligible children in their care get vaccinated.
Vaccines are available, and it is astonishing that you have something that can help to reduce the severity of COVID, and we still have hesitancy where parents are not allowing their children to come forward and get vaccinated. So again, as you pointed out in the first question, one way of returning safely to school is for children to be vaccinated. And maybe before the reopening, it would be a good time for parents to make sure that their children get vaccinated.
Meanwhile, as the government continues to work towards procuring vaccines for the 5 to 11 age cohort, Minister Anthony is encouraging parents to continue wearing masks and sanitizing. Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell says it is imperative to protect Ghana's water sources as the demand for water increases. In this regard, he noted that the administration has set clear objectives towards achieving the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goal for water and sanitation. Minister Crowell was speaking at an event in observance of World Water Day 2022.
We have to explore, analyze, and monitor our groundwater resources to better protect and manage them. To do this require accountability, new technologies to optimize water usage, data, very important, that can inform policy decisions on the water sector.
The achievement of these goals, Minister Crowell says, requires massive investments. Thus far, for the period 2020 to 2022, more than $21.5 billion has been invested for water and sanitation.
So, for example, by putting new wells, Wakenham, Providence ongoing, Luziknan we've just commissioned, Diamond, Parika Bagdam, which is nearing completion, and also, of course, the numbers for the hinterland. Replacing, as was just reminded, replacing all transmission mains at Vicinjon Road, Newtown Kitty, on Republic Street in Newtown Kitty, Cemetery Road, even Bartica. So as a result of these simple interventions, we will see more than 11,000 citizens who will now have access to potable water as well as improve access for the first time.
Currently, there are some 275 wells operated by the Ghana Water Incorporated GWI on the coast and the hinterland, as well as over 20 privately operated wells. Chief Executive Officer of GWI Sheikh Bakr says to support government's massive housing drive, there is need for an additional 150 wells on the coast and hinterland regions. Over $107 million in river and sea defence works will be executed in regions 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Invitation for bids have already been placed in the local newspapers by the Ministry of Public Works. The works to be undertaken include maintenance of the earthen embankment and timber revetment at Lower and Upper Pomeroon, maintenance of timber revetment at Manikuru Creek, Upper Pomeroon, maintenance of earthen embankment at Success, Legwan Island, and the timber revetment along the outfall channel at Wales. The ministry is also seeking to have the boulder sea defence at Lagrange, maintenance works to the concrete structure along the Georgetown seawall, maintenance of earthen embankment, and incorporation of timber revetment at Cambridge, Mahaika, Farm, Maikoni, and Overwinning. Government, through Budget 2022, has allotted $5 billion towards sea and river defence. In 2021, government invested $4.7 billion on the construction, rehabilitation and maintenance of riprap sea defence, which also saw the planting of 40,000 mangrove seedlings. Ghana has partnered with Harvard University to study the malaria parasite to detect any changes that may cause drug resistance. This has been disclosed by Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during the daily COVID-19 update on Wednesday.
Some of these parasites would develop resistance against the treatment that is currently available. So we have seen that globally, and when that happens, the current medication is not going to work properly. And therefore, when people get sick with malaria, if we're using the same treatment protocol, they would have challenges in getting better.
The minister said the study would use pioneering technology and techniques to sequence the malaria parasite and check for gene alterations that are common with resistance to the medications. Minister Anthony explained that persons from the National Public Health Reference Lab have been trained in gene sequencing at Harvard. Minister Anthony said government has already acquired the gene sequencing machines needed to conduct sequencing here. He added that while the focus is on malaria, this same technique and equipment can also be used for gene sequencing for the COVID-19 virus. Meanwhile, as the Enmore Polyclinic celebrates 20 years of service, Dr. Anthony announced that it will be transformed into a hospital this year.
So after 20 years, I think you have outgrown the polyclinic, and what we'll now do is to make this into a full-fledged hospital.
The hospital will include an accident and emergency department, modern laboratory, modern imaging suite, outpatient and inpatient services, maternity unit, and a minor operating theatre. As discussions continue about hairstyles of school students, Minister of Education Dr. Priyan Manikchand said hairstyles do not affect learning. From the survey conducted, a number of persons shared stories of trauma imposed by schools with existing hair rules.
I don't see that some of the rules, you can't wear sleeveless in schools to visit. You can't wear your hair naturally. These are not things that affect the curriculum in any way. And I think we've seen over the last couple of weeks from persons who have responded how they themselves have been hurt and had to recover from that hurt after they left schools. And if there's one thing we're sure is that a school should not be a place that is hurting children or in any way causing them to doubt themselves.
The ministry will be meeting with teachers to discuss the subjective interpretation of neat hairstyles. Also on Wednesday, the Vice President wrapped up a 2-day outreach in Region 2. Here's Kellon Rovo with more details.
Vice President Dr. Bara Jagdeo today met with recipients of gold scholarships in Region 2. The engagement, which was held in the auditorium of the Anna Regina Secondary School, is part of the Vice President's outreach to the region.
This here is part of the fulfillment of a promise we made. One, to do free university education within the 5 years, and so we will make university education free even at UG within the 5 years, and to do at least 20,000 scholarships. We're already over 6,000. This year, probably another 5,000, but we can get as many people on scholarships in this region as we can find. We can create this space, but people have to qualify to move on to a tertiary program.
To ensure effective internet service for the scholars during class, Dr. Jagdeo said government is exploring the option of subsidizing the internet cost for the students.
The cost of bandwidth, sometimes people have to pay for that. So maybe we can assist all of the gold scholarship students with paying for the cost, not the full cost, part of it for bandwidth, for internet services.
DPI also caught up some of the gold recipients.
I'm very delighted to be part of this program. It has helped me a lot. I have gained a lot of knowledge to go back in the classroom and teach.
I submitted my application and it's been great so far. At least I'm grateful that everyone came today and they heard our concerns. Actually, I think they already liaised on with eNetwork. So actually when I signed up for my Wi-Fi in Essequibo, I got free installation. So that was a very big help.
Registered at Jane University, and that's a level 6 program. It's gone quite well, but I actually have some challenges, which is internet service problem, and that's in the hinterland. But so far, we had an examination recently, and I would have been able to complete it, but the problem was because I was having internet issues, I didn't get to submit the second part of it, but the workload is manageable so far. If I don't have the internet issues, then it would go more well then.
That will benefit us very tremendously because the price is very high and the service is kind of poor, but sometimes you get it good, sometimes not so good.
Also present at the meeting were Minister of Education Priya Manichan, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal, and Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water Susan Rodrigues, and other officials. Vice President Dr. Barra Jagdeo today hosted several community meetings along the Essequibo coast where he met with villagers and addressed their issues. The engagements were held at communities including Pomona, Affiance, Paradise, and Charity.
This outreach that the VP and team is doing is very necessary at this moment, and I really appreciate whatever the government is doing for the people of Guyana. The job creation and so on. For example, right now we have children in my village that have math and English and 5 subjects and over, and so with that job creation, they too will be able to benefit from it. So I feel really good about this outreach.
I had applied already for the teaching profession job, but haven't get no call, no feedback. Well, now I felt more good about this since Vice President has already said in a few that there is vacancy, so there are better opportunity or chance now to get through.
It will benefit me great because more job in the area, in the committee, it would be better for me because I will get more jobs. So that would be great. It's a nice initiative.
I feel thanks a lot for what this government done this for me. As I come and explain my problem, I thank you for get solved because it really tight upon me for go about and doing business. Even though it's going to collect my public assistance, I mean, I got the ID card, I got the photocopy. It has really been tight.
The Vice President announced the complete removal of excise tax on the importation of diesel and gasoline. He spoke about the $1 billion which will go towards upgrading major community roads across the region.
We are working now on trying to incentivize business to come to these regions. This year's budget, for example, and yesterday I met with the business community in this region, and we have a facility where we will co-invest with someone. So if they come to Region 2 and they want to build a factory here or a call center, we're prepared to build the factory shell or the building so that they will cut their costs. We're hoping to make it more attractive for businesses to locate in the regions outside of 3 and 4. That is what we've already had some interest in this, and we're working on that. And anyone in here who has a venture of that nature, we are willing to work with you.
Dr. Jagdeo noted that government's aggressive housing programs will be rolled out in Region 2. Further, he said all the plans are being implemented to enhance the lives of all Guyanese.
Before the end of the year, we will start a new $30 million US hospital at Anna Regina. So we'll upgrade study, but this hospital here would be providing almost every service you can get in Georgetown will be at the hospital. In the next 3 weeks, we're going to hire another 800 people in this region from the public sector. We have about 250 grants. We have about 250 grants to give for small business, to start small business or expand small business. In a nutshell, that's our strategy. Modern world-class infrastructure to start business and competitive businesses that will generate thousands of new jobs. A healthy population and an educated population.
Also present at the meeting were Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa, Minister of Education Priya Manichand, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal, and the Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water Susan Rodrigues, and other officials.
On Thursday, the Ministry of Education launched a 2-day Tech Expo with the objective of integrating technology into the education system. At the launch, held at the National Centre for Education Resource Development, under the theme Embracing Traditional and Non-Traditional Technology, Chief Executive Officer Dr. Marcel Hudson said the education system is working to achieve international education standards through technology. By the end of the two-day expo, persons will learn of the varying dimensions of technology and how it can be used to solve problems in advanced development. They will also be able to interact with various examples and applications of technology. Over 200 young persons in Regions 1 and 2 graduated from several training courses offered through the Board of Industrial Training BIT. Graduation ceremonies were held on March 21 and 22 with 147 persons from Region 2 and 73 from Region 1. Governments promised $600,000 annually for all patients on dialysis treatment will be rolled out from next week. This was disclosed by Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony during Friday's COVID-19 update. The government, in its 2022 budget, allocated approximately $180 million to alleviate the burden of expensive dialysis treatment for persons with chronic kidney disease.
Right now, there are a number of persons who require dialysis, and generally these persons would have end-stage renal failure. The challenge, however, is that persons are not able to pay for their dialysis treatment. So we want to start sometime next week to start distributing the checks to these patients.
Minister Anthony noted that a medical document and the person's biodata will be required to confirm that they are in fact on dialysis or had been recommended for such treatment. Persons are being encouraged to visit the Ministry of Health and get registered as soon as possible. Some 22 contracts totaling $2.9 billion were on Friday awarded to several contractors to build and rehabilitate sea defense structures across the country. Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgell emphasized the importance of the works, which aims to protect the integrity of Guyana's coasts.
Sea and river defense work is not something that we could play with, because when we build sea defenses and river defenses, we are playing a great role in safeguarding life and livelihoods. This activity today, and which you hear, is to say to you, the contractors that are gathered here, and the others who are being engaged across the country, 2022, we got to up our game.
Minister Edgell implored contractors to complete works according to the contract stipulations. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo has recommitted to transparently use the revenues in the Natural Resource Fund.
This issue about transparency surrounding receipt of funds was a very important issue for the PPP. And how did we fix that? By amending the law that they had, that the civil society was happy with. So, or some elements in the civil society, we said that every transaction, big or small, from the oil and gas company, if they deposit $1 in the fund or $100 million, the Minister of Finance within 3 months has to publish in the official gazette that deposit, every single deposit, so not one deposit, but every single deposit, however big or small it is, and notify the Parliament. And if he fails to do so, he can go to jail for 10 years. No country that I know of has such a strong provision.
At a press conference on Friday, Dr. Jagdeo also made it clear that strengthening the country's democracy is a priority of government. He affirmed that they will work with all Guyanese and the international community to make this a reality. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.